Hello, I haven't been back to YouTube for a while, but I'm very eager to share with you my thoughts today after reading a story on Financial Times related to HSBC's China investment bank set up a Communist Party committee. In an earlier version of the story, FT actually titled it HSBC without the reference to investment banking. Apparently, the news outlet realized its mistake very soon and rectified the title. But there are still some flaws in that news article, which I'm not going to into the specifics. I just realized after reading it that there are definitely many misconceptions about the Communist Party among people who are not familiar with the CCP setup in China, including the writers of that news story. So that's why I'm making this video. And just to clarify that I'm not here to defend the party or justify its existence or whatever. I'm really just talking about some of the technical details of the Communist Party. So number one, there's a difference between party committee and party branch, but the key difference is really just size. Usually a party committee is consisting of more than 100 party members. So if there is a big group of party members, they can put together a party committee. Whereas party branches are normally consisting of 3 to 50 people, or I should say 3 to 50 party members. So it is generally smaller. But apart from the size, of course there are differences in terms of functionality and what kind of events it can organize, etc. But from an outsider's perspective, there's no material difference. The second point is, it is not unusual to have either a party committee or a party branch in a company or in any kind of organization, be it domestic or foreign. Because in China, this is really a numbers game. Let me elaborate a little. There are roughly 100 million party members today in China, out of a population of 1.4 billion, meaning about 7% of the total population are actually Communist Party members. Therefore, as long as you are running a large organization or a big company, let's say of 100 employees in total, it's highly likely that you have 7 employees or 7% of your staff being a party member. And as I mentioned, as long as there are more than 3 party members, they can organize a branch, a party branch. It doesn't even have to get a consent from the executives of the firm. The formation of such a party branch is not much different from forming a similar union in some of the markets, right? Therefore, as you can imagine, many of the companies, foreign companies in China, are really large, particularly the banks, automakers, some of the other manufacturers. So it doesn't matter whether you are a Ford or a GM, very likely you have either a party committee or a party branch, or in many cases, multiple party branches in your company. Again, as long as you run a large company. So it's hardly newsworthy to report that, okay, that company, let's say HSBC, is setting up a party committee, because it should be seen as a given. Okay, so that's the second point. And then the third point is, I think you need to understand that it actually makes sense for companies to hire party members. They should be incentivized to hire party members. Why? You gotta understand the way how party recruits. If we are looking at universities, very often kids join the party in early days, but the percentage, the proportion of uni students joining the party is actually very, very small. It's not because not a lot of students are keen on joining the party today. It's more because the party is super selective. So I would assume probably only 1 to 2% of the university kids are now recruited to the party. And usually you have to be all rounded. You have to be top notch in your class among your peers. Only then the party will be interested in taking you in. So that's when you're a college kid. But if you become, let's say, a sales guy in a company, and you are also interested in joining the Communist Party, normally, in most cases, and I've seen that in real life, you have to exhibit top performance among your peers, among your sales peers. You have to be able to sell the most products and services in order to get into the party. I mean, of course, that's not the sole criteria, but that's like one of the key criteria. And as you can see by now, it's highly customized, right? I mean, the standards and criteria, how they recruit. It really depends on your status, and what kind of role you are playing in the society. But in short, the party is very interested in elites, people who are good at something, people who are better than many of their peers in their age group, in their industry group, or in their functions and jobs. So this is why I'm saying for a commercial organization coming to China, it usually makes sense for them to hire party members because those are people with good track record. Those are people who have been verified or endorsed to a certain extent. It is very dumb to assume that the party is trying to collect intelligence in all situations or control these companies. No, you gotta understand the usual function of a party branch. Again, I compare it to very often the unions that you see in the US or in some parts of Europe. In China, the party branches are really not necessarily about promotion of the ideology or taking control of those businesses. It's more like a club by and large. So this is a club of people with some commonality, and they gather together. They probably will go to movie together. They probably will dine out together. But that's it. This is less so about, again, the ideology part of the whole communism and Communist Party. It is more about your co-workers of a similar background. I'm not saying there's nothing to be afraid of when it comes to these party committees and party branches. But I'm just thinking it is also equally unreasonable to assume that all the party committees and branches are demons. They're not necessarily so, you know.